And here we go. Feel free to chat in the chat box. So welcome everyone. As you may or may not know, I'm Natalie Savell of Stepmom Strong Coaching, where I help stepmoms go from overwhelm, confusion, resentment, and stress to confidence, clarity, and connection. And I'll tell you a little bit more about myself and my story in just a moment. First, we're going to admit people. Admit. Okay. So first, I just want to let you know, again, for those of you who are just joining and who have never been on a webinar with me before, I do read a screen. So if you see my eyes scrolling, that's why. That way I don't get too distracted from the focus of what I want to tell you. And I'm having all these notifications pop up, and it's time to turn everything off so that I can focus on you guys, because it's very distracting. More notifications are popping up than usual. I'm not used to having all this pop. So, okay. Give me a second, guys. Okay. So, I'm really determined to make this super valuable for you all. And I really want to stay on track. So I'll go off into all kinds of tangents and get super distracted if I don't stay on track. So that's why I read notes. I also drink a lot of water because I get excited. I need to hydrate. My mouth gets dry. I move my hands a lot. My mom's French, so I blame her. I might also swear. Sometimes I get excited. So if you have kids around, you may want to put a headset on or have them go in another room. And also for you guys to know my style of coaching, I'm very direct. I'm straight to the point. I really believe in us taking responsibility for ourselves in our situation. I think that we have a lot of defense mechanisms against doing that really disempower us and that keep us stuck in our situations. So I do pride myself in cutting through the excuses and really getting to the meat of what's keeping someone stuck and how they can take better responsibility to empower themselves. I also really like participation. You can do that by typing in the chat box. It really energizes me. I love to get feedback that way, and I'll also be responding to you as you chat. So feel free to do that as we go along, and I'll be asking for certain things in the chat box throughout the webinar today. So you're in the right place today, ladies. If you are feeling overwhelmed in your role as a stepmom and you're unsure what direction to go in. You might be staying up at night ruminating about something the ex did or something the kids did or something your partner did, and you're really feeling the effects wearing you down in other areas of your life, and you're not enjoying yourself as much, or maybe you're distracted at work, or you're not seeing your friends as much as you want to, or maybe you're not enjoying the reason that you're there to begin with, your romantic relationship, as much as you would like. And you're in the right place if you're ready to shift your approach to your role so that you can feel more empowered regardless of how difficult your circumstances are. And you're in the right place if you're ready to let go of feeling like a victim once and for all and really feel confident in yourself. And you're in the right place if you're open to trying new things and new ways of looking at things. So if you have an open mind and you're ready for suggestions, that is super, super helpful. So make sure you stay till the end of this webinar, because I am making an offer today that's only for the people who signed up for this webinar as a thank you for signing up. So make sure you stick around till the end, and I will tell you all about that. It's really exciting. So, who I am. I am a stepmom to a very energetic 8-year-old boy, and I'm a bio mom to a 4-year-old boy. I'm also a dog mom to a 10-year-old pug mix. She's snoring on the bed right next to me. She's by far the easiest. I have 8 years of experience as a licensed psychotherapist and a coach, supporting people to break through stuff that's holding them back from living their best lives. I've worked with people in all different capacities, all different populations, but that seems to be a main thread. So I got together with my significant other super quickly. Our pregnancy was a complete surprise to us, and I found myself neck deep in one of the most challenging circumstances I've ever found myself in, and I'm sure a lot of you can relate to that. And that was with having a master's in counseling, which, by the way, they never once mentioned blended families in my entire 3 years of my master's program. And I'd also done tons of personal growth work. I'd been in therapy. I'd also done tons of babysitting, and I'd always had a really easy time with kids, so I thought it would be a piece of cake. But actually what happened was I had a really hard time connecting with my stepson. I felt super uncomfortable with my boyfriend's ex and the amount and the ways that they were communicating. My boyfriend's parenting style drove me nuts, and I got to the point where I saw myself being a version of myself that I really did not like. I was yelling all the time. I was feeling like pretty deranged, to be honest, at moments about my relationship. I felt really disrespected. I felt really alone and confused. And I really thought I had it all wrong, that I was essentially a bad person because I wasn't doing this well. And I'd always thought of myself as very patient and compassionate and loving and kind, but I was not being any of those things. And it was very confusing and overwhelming. And while I had some good moments and I loved my boyfriend, I was not handling the challenges in a very graceful way. Lots of really ugly parts of me were coming out. So if you can relate to that, hit a 1 in the chat box, because I know that that's a very relatable thing. I talk to stepmoms a lot who have had similar experiences. So I had several wake-up moments over the course of the first couple of years, and getting surprisingly pregnant and having to just make a lot of really hard decisions. And at one point in my process, some people can relate. At one point in my process, I decided that there were 3 things that I was absolutely committed to. Number 1 was I was committed to having a happy, healthy household and relationship. That was super important, non-negotiable to me. Number 2, I was committed to making sure that our house was a safe space for my stepson and that he always felt comfortable and welcome in our house. And number 3, I was committed to being the best version of myself in the relationship and situation and not letting it turn me into the dreaded evil stepmother or step monster, as some people like to call it, right? So if you're committed to these things as well, these 3 things, you are definitely in the right place, and I'm so glad you are here. And if you're not sure whether or not you're committed to these things, by the end of this webinar, I think you'll know. So hang in there and let's do some exploring. So I worked my butt off, you guys. I got super obsessed with like how to make this all work and how to follow up with the things that I was committed to. Being a therapist, a lot was on the line, right? Like I couldn't really let my life just fall apart or be in a situation where I wasn't healthy. So I realized that my situation and the ugly parts of me that were spilling out were the exact parts of me that I hadn't really addressed yet in therapy or my personal growth work. Stuff that I'd never really looked at before related to my nuclear family that I came from. And they were just, these issues were just staring at me in the face in really blatant ways. So anger issues that came from my parents that had never come up before I was in a situation with another child, and control issues that also came up really strong. Some people have kids and don't even deal with their control issues. Some people manage to get by, but a lot of people have control issues. So I did, and those were staring at me in the face very blatantly once I started to dig and look. Fear of other people's judgments was huge, right? I was also relying on my partner to meet all of my needs and make me happy, which became very obvious once I started to dig around. I also tended to expect really unreasonable things. I wanted like a Prince Charming who was going to save me and whisk me away, and everything I was going to be like the top priority, and that was just not the case. So I really came face to face with these challenges that were inside of me. So if any of you can relate to any of these, hit a 2 in the chat box. So I got to work. And now I'm at the place where I feel like I've done all this work, and honestly, I've messed up so many times along the way. It's been a super messy road. And at this point, it's all worth it, because not only do I have a life and household that I love, but I also get to support you all, so you don't have to do it the hard way that I got to do it. So my relationship still has its challenges, don't get me wrong. We're not perfect. We still work on things. I can honestly say that I love my partner more than ever, which is even like weird to say out loud, because there was a time that I really wasn't sure. I was so bogged down in resentment, and I was so frustrated at so many things that I was like, do I even love him? I don't even know. Like, it just was so overwhelming. I've also learned so much from my parenting challenges with my stepson. He's literally made me the mom I am today in so many ways. So that also is like a huge, incredible growth experience for me. I really honestly believe that taking on the challenges of being a stepmom, it's made me better in all areas. As a mom, professionally, who I keep social circles with, I've gotten better boundaries. So I'm more empowered emotionally. I'm more balanced. I'm more healthy in mind, body, and spirit than I've ever been, which is crazy, but it's true. And I want to reinforce that it's not without its challenges at times. I do get frustrated with my significant other. I have to deal with BS from the ex or my mother-in-law sometimes. But I have the skills, tools, and practices. I have like the framework to turn to so that I don't get completely bogged down and completely crazy. So a metaphor that I really like to use for stepmoms is that it can feel like you're drowning and you're in like the bottom of the ocean and you don't know which way is to the surface, like which way to swim to come out. You don't even know because you're just in the middle of like a dark ocean. It's so confusing and can really turn you upside down. So I've been to the bottom of that ocean, like all the way to the bottom where I was like almost buried in the sand. And so I really feel like I can now support people who are down that low and then also anywhere on the path up to the top. I figured out like how to get out so that you can swim, and sometimes you might get like splashed in the face or a big wave might overtake you, but you'll always come back to the surface because you know how to get to the surface now. So that's the purpose of this webinar, and that's the purpose of what I do with stepmoms. And that's what I'm here to do with you all today. So I'm here to give you some tips to help you head in the right direction. And by the end of this webinar, you'll have an understanding of what it takes to not let your challenging circumstances get you down. And I also have an opportunity for you today that could change your life. It's an opportunity to set yourself up for success in 3 months with what I and many other stepmoms who insist on doing it by themselves or with the help of a personally or professionally inexperienced therapist might do in like 2, 3, 4 years, and they're suffering the whole time, right? So I think for high functioning, action-oriented learners, therapy is a much slower process, especially because most therapists are not trained in blended family dynamics, and they might even give you advice that could be like detrimental to your situation. And I know this because I am a therapist and I've worked with both one-on-one clients and coaching clients in programs. And I know therapy has its place, like it's definitely worthwhile, but I really believe that coaching in a container of a program for high-functioning stepmoms is what will excel your growth and progress and create more joy, balance, and ease in your life way quicker as you travel the path and deal with the challenges, right? So it definitely has a more powerful impact, and you don't have to struggle and suffer and drive yourself crazy for the next 2 to 4 years while you're figuring out what to do. So by the way, I just want to reinforce my encouragement for you to stay till the end. Like I said, I decided to make a super special offer today. I'm really excited to announce it, so please stick around so you can get in on the offer. So first we're going to start with something for you to do right here, right now. So do you have a pen and paper with you? If not, go grab one or something that you can take notes on. And here's what I want you to do. You could use the notes on your phone, whatever. Put a line down the middle of your paper or make 2 categories in your notes, whatever. And on one side, right at the top, things you can control. And on the other side, right at the top, things you cannot control. And now I want you to jot down like 4 or 5 things on each side. And I want you to think hard about specific things in your situation that you cannot control. So for example, you can't control your husband's behavior, right? Or your significant other. You can make requests, but ultimately you cannot control him. And most likely if you're trying to, I bet you're getting the opposite result from what you want, funny enough. So think about that. Like if you're really trying to control him, like there's a good chance that he's reacting in the opposite way that you actually want, like what you're going for. So write down the specific thing that he's doing that you cannot control. Maybe it's how he parents. Maybe it's how he deals with the ex. Maybe it's whatever, not setting boundaries, or, you know, everyone has their specific things. I'm sure you can think of some. And include the ex in this list as well. So especially if you have a high conflict ex, there's a lot you can control. So write down some of those things. Now I want you to go to the other column and write down what you can control. There's a few key things I want to see if you can figure out what you can control. This webinar is going to be all about that category, so you can take, that's what your notes are going to be on, are things you can control. All right, so let's get into the 3 keys. We'll start with key number 1. Key number 1 is all about building resilience. It's not about making everyone behave how you want and life do what you want so that you don't have any stress. Okay, so let me say that again. Building resilience and life in general is not about having everyone outside of you do what you want, behave how you want, and make the decisions that you want. Okay, that's not going to work. It's about building your inner resilience so that you can handle things and not get totally wrecked in the midst of chaos. Or when things don't go your way, or when changes happen without you making them happen, you know, like the things that you cannot control. It's about building your resilience so that you can handle whatever comes. And one of the major ways that brain scientists have discovered that we can build this ability is to recognize our emotions. It seems like such a simple concept, recognizing our emotions. But it's actually a learned skill. What we do instead of recognizing our emotions is we suppress them or we dwell in them. So I'm going to talk about that a little bit. Oh, and the dog's barking. Sequoia, shh. She's protecting the house. I think she's barking at Jason. Sorry about the dog. So what happens when we suppress our emotions? There's this saying, I hope you guys can hear me. How loud is she? Can you guys hear me over her barking? Just type in the comments and let me know. She's so loud. Who has dogs in here? Does anybody have dogs? Are y'all dog lovers? Hopefully he'll, yeah, Molly. So, you know, I got she's super protective and barks at any noise of anyone coming. Also thinks I know. I'm like, it's Jason Sequoia. He lives here. You don't need to protect me from him. Okay, good, Courtney. Great. Okay, so when we suppress our emotions, there's a saying, feelings buried alive never die. They never actually die. Great, glad to hear it. Everybody has dogs. I love it. Of course, dog lovers. Dog people are the best. Just kidding. If you're a cat lover, I love you too. So yeah, feelings buried alive, they never really die. They come out in different ways, right? Whatever you resist persists. They creep out when you overeat, when you explode with rage, when you compulsively ruminate at night. Those are your emotions, your feelings coming out and making their way out. They are not just going to go away if we just push them down, right? So I have but I have dealt with my emotions in different ways over the years. I used to overeat. I had a binge eating disorder for like 15 years. And then when I was in my stepmom role, I would rage. It's a way to get my emotions out. So because I would stuff them down, I wouldn't address them, and then it would play itself out in these really destructive behaviors, right? They eat at you, literally, and then they figuratively eat at you, and then you literally like destroy yourself is what happens. I see it all the time. So what happens when we dwell in our emotions? This is the opposite extreme. We complain, right? So we find other people who are complaining and we have a complaint fest. And they've actually studied the effects of complaining and proven that complaining makes people feel worse. It doesn't actually relieve anything. It actually just makes you feel worse. So then you're just dwelling and you're like mired in what you're upset about. And it's not productive is what they've proven through studying physiological reactions to complaining. And they have like they have a lot of technology now to study the brain and the chemicals and stress hormones and adrenaline secretion and all that. So they have figured out that it actually makes people feel worse. So there is a middle ground between dwelling and suppressing, and that is observing our emotions, okay? And so there's a psychologist who I love. His name's Dr. Dan Siegel. He calls it naming it to tame it. So it's acknowledging our emotions and maybe even acting on them if they're trying to tell us something. We may need to take care of ourselves in some way. So acknowledge them, feel them, and see if there's something that needs to happen for you to take care of. Do you need to release them? Is there something you need to do to get them out? Do you need to calm down your nervous system so that you can recalibrate? Like, do you just need to take it down a notch? you need to self-soothe in some way, kind of the same thing as calming down with exercise or social time or a bath or a night in a hotel. Sometimes we need that stuff, right, to like recalibrate. I had a stepmom client who felt insane every time her boyfriend took his kids back to his ex's house. He had shown her 0 reasons why he would be unfaithful, and actually he'd done a lot of things to prove his faith and dedication to her. And he, proven in many ways how he did not feel any interest in his ex. They'd had a really tumultuous relationship, and there was 0 feelings there. But she still felt insane whenever he went to her house to drop the kids off. So we explored this. We tried to figure out like if it was something he could do, or and we really tried to weasel this down. And what we figured out together was that it was about her past experiences of being cheated on. It wasn't actually about the situation in the present situation. So we figured out what she needed to do for herself in order to let go of that. She had to do some releasing and healing and writing letters and burning them in order for her to be like present to what was actually going on and not bring that past relationship into her current relationship. So we got to compare what was happening in the present with what the emotion was about and what needed to be done. And it didn't end up being about him, as it turned out. Sometimes it is. Sometimes it's a request we need to make, or something we need to work on in our relationship, or something we need to accept or let go of about our relationship. But sometimes it's not. So it ended up really being her work to do, and she needed to do it. So she was able to do that and was able to find peace and not get so triggered when he took the kids back home to their moms. So the idea is not to let your emotions take over, okay? Not to let them run the show. And by labeling them, we actually stop our, oh my gosh, you guys, now there's like thumping downstairs. So loud. I told Jason, I was like, I'm going to be doing a webinar between 12 and 1. Like, can you please not disturb me? I guess I didn't say specifically, can you please keep the noise down and make sure that it's quiet? He probably doesn't realize that I can hear him, but I can. So by labeling our emotions, we actually stop ourselves from like identifying with them and becoming our emotions. We are not our emotions. They are something that is happening to us. And we need to like not, like if you're like, I'm sad, I'm so sad, and you stay in that sadness and you dwell in it and you identify with it and it takes over and it dictates all your actions and it dictates all your thoughts, by labeling it like, oh, there's sadness, right? Like I'm having sadness. And you can get a little bit of space from it and you can carry on with your day. You don't have to let the sadness completely take over and bulldoze you. So it's a big break from the habit of either suppressing or dwelling, which is a lot of people's tendency. So if anyone can relate to that, I'd love to hear, like, are you a suppressor or a dweller, or do you struggle with this, with regulating your emotions, with not identifying with them, with ruminating or letting them take over in different ways? Oh my gosh, can you guys hear that? It is so loud. This is a noisy webinar today. We're having a noisy one. Anyways, okay. Okay, so key number 2 is how to build your confidence. This is what we're going to be talking about with key number 2. Building your confidence. So this has a lot to do with how you talk to yourself. Good, thanks. So we all have an inner dialogue, right? We have a constant inner dialogue, constant mental chatter that's going on and on about what's happening around us. Maybe we're making a judgment. Maybe you probably have a lot of judgments about me right now, good or bad, whatever. You're like, oh my God, what is she wearing? Or what is she doing? Or she's being paranoid about her noises in her background or whatever it is. But we have a constant inner dialogue, right? And our mental chatter, it is going around the clock. We're judging, we're analyzing. Often we're thinking about something that happened in the past, or we're planning for something in the future. My inner dialogue is like, why the heck is he making so much noise, right? When really all we have is right now. So that inner dialogue is not keeping us present, and it's not helping us be in real time, right? It's keeping us somewhere else. So the question is, like, what are you committed to in this moment? That's the thing that can bring you back over and over and over again. every moment, I truly believe, is a chance to turn it all around. So you get to, in any moment, decide, instead of listening to your mental chatter, to be present. So every time my mental chatter comes up about the noise, then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna let that go and I'm gonna be present, right? So over and over again. And that is completely within our control. Every moment is new and fresh, and you get a choice in every moment. So how this has to do with confidence is to check in with yourself and see what your self-talk is about yourself. So a lot of people, especially women, have very negative self-talk. Angie, I'm a dweller and suppressor, builds up till I take it out on my husband. Yeah, I feel you, girl. I've been there. So what does your inner dialogue say to you, ladies? Is it mean? Does your self-doubt run the show? Does guilt run the show and you can't make any decisions because your guilt is like taking over? Or maybe your self-doubt is taking over and you think you suck, so then you are inhibited by that, right? And it doesn't let you, be yourself. So recognize when your inner dialogue is beating you up. And again, name it to tame it. It's not you. When guilt starts putting thoughts in your head, or self-doubt starts rearing its ugly head, or self-blame starts rearing its ugly head, get in the habit of recognizing it and knowing and saying to yourself, this is not me, and what can I focus on instead, right? Or like, how can I shift that inner dialogue to be something more positive that's like positive about myself? So this is what I want to challenge you to do right now. It's come up with a new inner dialogue. So further down on your paper, with the line down the middle, I want you to write in the left column, write down what kinds of negative thoughts your inner dialogue tends to get stuck on. And then, this could be stuff like, I'm not good enough. Why can't I handle this? I don't know what I'm doing. Everyone else sucks. There's no way I can be peaceful in this situation. It's impossible. Write them all down. And if you can't think of any, start to explore that after this webinar. Start to think about like how you talk to yourself and what are the thoughts that run the show. And so if you know you have negative thoughts about yourself running the show the majority of the time, put a 1 in the chat box. I'd love to see who deals with that. And in the second column, I want you to put the opposite thoughts to the negative ones that you wrote. So this is how you create a new inner dialogue of confidence and self-acceptance, because that's where you can build from. That's where you can work from, is from being confident and being accepting of yourself exactly where you're at. If you're stuck in beating yourself up, or guilt or self-blame or self-doubt is running the show, it's going to be really hard to make progress in a forward direction. And if you need ideas for new inner dialogue, put the negative thoughts in the chat box, and I'll help you come up with like a positive spin on the negative thought. And this is practice. So it's practice to let go of the negative thoughts. It's practice to start to retrain your brain to think positively and to think affirmatively and like in an accepting way about yourself with self-compassion. That takes practice. It's like building new neural pathways, literally. And it will help you tremendously with your confidence. So the last key, we're going to bring it all together and talk about what you can control. So we talked about resilience. We talked about building confidence using your inner dialogue and self-awareness. And the last one is how to feel empowered no matter what, by practicing the things that you can control. So even the smallest things make a huge difference if you are intentionally aware that you are empowered in whatever area it is and that you can control something. Because I know that as STEM moms, we can feel completely powerless and like everything is out of our control. That's so easy to feel. So it's like, what can you hold on to? So gratitude is a great example. It is always available, you guys. You can be grateful for hot water, right? You could be like running from a faucet. Seriously, that's a miracle. I've traveled to developing countries and not everybody has just like a faucet that you turn on that has hot water out of it. So a hot shower is a huge luxury and blessing, and we can be grateful for that, right? You can be grateful for, or they are ungrateful. Okay, so Courtney, I would offer you to turn this around and say, I do everything for everyone because I choose to. I'm grateful for myself. I see the benefits that me in their life has for them and for me. Like making it a choice instead of like the victim of how no one cares about how busy and how stressful my daily life is. And then take care of yourself so that you don't need them to validate how busy you are or how stressful your life is. Does that make sense? Oftentimes when we, oh my gosh, I shouldn't get into this, but often when we like project things outward, it's stuff that we actually need to do for ourselves. If we're like stuck on something that someone's not doing for us, it's something we actually really need to do for ourselves, or maybe find in a different place. Okay, so focus on what you're committed to in your life when your negative emotions come up is also a very powerful place to come from. So let yourself feel your feelings, do what needs to be done, and then return to your commitments. And focus on your vision for your household and yourself and your family and who you want to be to your family, who you want to be to yourself, who you want to be in your community. Really think about that stuff. And focus on that. Focus on, you know, whenever my stepson frustrates me or I'm like getting insane about some behavior he has, I'm like, I want this to be a safe household where he feels comfortable more than I want him to stop leaving his shoes in the living room, right? So what can I do to stick with that commitment in this moment? Instead of getting super frustrated about how he always, which he does, always leaves his shoes and clothes. He comes in the house and takes off his clothes, like throws them around. And he's a big kid, so they take up a lot of space. But I want him to feel safe here. So instead of barking down his throat about that, I'm going to find a way to be compassionate and to be patient and to be, I still want him to learn that, right? Because that's what I need. But maybe like the first moment that he's here is not the time to do that, right? Or maybe there's just different ways to teach that skill, right? It's a skill that he needs to learn to be mindful of like what he's doing with his clothes, and maybe like to jump down his throat in the first second he walks in when he's just comes, you know, after 4 days of being with his mom is not the best way to do that, because that's not sticking to my commitment of wanting him to feel safe and comfortable in our house, right? So keeping in mind like your commitments and your vision can really help you not let the little stuff like daily stuff get in your way, and that way you have a longer term vision. And again, asking yourself, how much is this going to matter in 3 years? And start to catch yourself when you go into victim mode. I know, is Amanda here? Usually Amanda comes to my stuff, but Amanda's really struggling right now. And I think a lot of her challenges have to do with being in this victim mentality. So if you think you're the victim and you continually get into, I'm the victim of these circumstances, oh my gosh, woe is me, poor me. Like, yeah, sometimes things are hard, but if you continually go into that, you're going to make things 10 times worse for yourself, and most likely nothing on the outside is going to change. So when you decide to be empowered and you decide not to go into victim mode and you start coming up with solutions instead, so many more possibilities are going to open up for you. And I know this from experience. You choose those things, Courtney, and if you need to be appreciated and you're not, then stop doing them. You know, there's times when, I don't know if you guys can relate to this, but there's times when I want things that I do naturally for my son, and some people are the opposite to me, but things that I do naturally for my son, I don't care if anyone says thank you. Like, I just do them because I love him, and I don't, you know, like I'll work really hard on a birthday party for him, and I couldn't care less if anyone acknowledges it or whatever. It's like, no problem. It's my son. Like, yeah, of course I want him to have his joy, and his birthday party is enough for me, right? With my stepson, I find that that's not true. Like, I feel differently about him, and his joy for stuff is, maybe it's not as much, or I don't know. Like, there's just, I want like a parade basically when I do something out of my way. So I have to be really mindful of that. Like, am I doing this because I want a parade and I want like a show of appreciation, or am I doing this because I want to and because I'm choosing to, and I'm going to be satisfied regardless of how anyone acts? I fear stepdaughter will believe BM lies and resent us or just hate me. Yeah, Angie, were you the one who just posted in the group about how you were having trouble connected with her? Angie Lynn, this is really good for you to consider the long game. So I think a more positive affirmation for you would be something like, a more positive affirmation would be something like, the truth will win in the end, right? And if I just stay confident with myself, don't worry about what she's doing. Don't worry. Yeah, it's sad. Like when your stepdaughter doesn't want to play games because her mom has like lied, like that's horrible and like unthinkable. And I can understand your frustration. And you can say to yourself, the truth will win in the end. I'm going to keep doing the best I can to help this girl feel loved in this house and show her what an honest, emotionally mature female role model looks like, right? Because she does not have one on the other side, right? And birth mom can lie all she wants because I'm like confident and sure of myself. Like Angie Lynn, for you, that's what I would want for you, is to get so sure of yourself and so like trusting in the truth, right? That she can go ahead, lie as much as you want. It's all going to come out in the wash. She's going to figure it out eventually. And by you being steady and consistent and not getting wrapped up in that drama, you're going to be better able to be a good role model for her. Does that make sense? I have 4 kids that do that, so I get it. Oh yeah, the taking off. Yeah, it's crazy. Me too. I totally try that, but then I feel like I'm being the mean one, have too many rules, expect too much, etc. So that's also still being in comparison, Molly. That's still being like, I have more rules than her. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, you have the rules that you have because that's what's important to you. And you have like, you might expect too much. I don't know. Like, we'd have to get into that and kind of dissect that a little bit more and see, like, are you expecting too much from these kids? But also, kids can get used to different households. And in the end, if you have rules and limits and she doesn't, like, you're the ones that are giving the kids an opportunity to have that experience, right? If they don't have it at their mom's, they need it somewhere. And so by you giving them that in your house, like, you're doing them a huge favor. But if you get super caught up in, like, how much more or less you have or not, or if they like it or not, or if they're, if they're like, they might not like it, you can do it in a loving way. You can set limits and have rules and boundaries in a loving way where they feel comfortable and safe and like you're doing it for them. That's what I would ask yourself. Like, are you doing it for them or are you doing it so that you feel okay? Because I think sometimes when we're doing things so that we feel comfortable and safe, gosh, this is so complicated because it really depends on the situation, but it is to help. Yes, it is to help. Yes, then trust in that. Molly, if you know your intentions are pure and good and that you're doing the kids a good service by teaching them these things, then trust in that. This is such an opportunity for you to really just trust in yourself. And if you're taking time to connect with them and you have a good relationship with them, then they're going to get a lot out of that, right? If they feel like you're doing it because you're against them and you're not on their side, and this is why it's so important for step parents to really work on that connection with their kids, because if the kids feel like you're against them and not with them on their side, then they're going to resent you for it. But if you do it with the intention of like, I'm on your side, I don't want negative consequences for you, so we're going to do this together, it's going to be received a lot differently. And if you spend like most of your time connecting with them and then some of the time doing the discipline and doing the limit setting, step parents, we just have to work harder at connecting with our step kids because it doesn't come naturally the way that it does with bio kids, right? So I think step parents, it's a fine line of building discipline and making rules. Like, it helps. Yeah, it's really hard. It takes time. You really do, like, especially transition day, we have to reconnect with our stepkids every time they come back over, right? Because even if we built up the connection the last time, then they go back to their moms and then they come back and we have to start all over again in a way, right? So taking the time to like, okay, for the first 2 hours, like, don't give them any discipline. Like, obviously like keep them safe, but really focus on like reconnecting with them. Like, how was your time? How's your day? Like, do something fun. I tell the kids that family is a team and we all need to work towards together to be able to do it. Yeah, that's great, Angie Lynn. So they might not like it and that's okay because you're teaching them a really good thing. And if they don't have it at their mom's, in the end, it's going to be helpful for them. So it really is like, it helps to think of it as a long game. This is like 20 years, like sometimes we don't get the reward with the fruits of our labor for like 10 or 15 years as step parents. It really is a long game. You all are freaking warriors, okay? Because it's hard to not get the immediate gratification, but we don't. I felt like it did come naturally being in her life since she was there. I felt like the disconnect was much there by the end. Yeah, and that can happen, Angie Lynn, and it's really hard. But it happens, right? So it still takes some work to connect with her, whether or not it's because whatever. With my stepson, it was not because of my birth mom. It was because of our personality differences. Like I still like sometimes I'm like, I don't get him. He's just like so weird to me. Like I just don't get him. I love him. He's awesome. Like I totally love him, but there's a piece of him that I just don't understand that well. And I never really have. So regardless of why it's there, it still takes work. Angie, Lynn, and Molly, you guys have so much in common. Oh my gosh, you guys are so funny. Okay, so today you've heard about me and who I am. You've heard about how far I've come and how passionate I am to use my fumbles and foibles and my messy personal growth journey to become a better person. I've done some crazy stuff, you guys. I'm not going to lie, in the thick of my mess. But you've heard about like how to become a better person and stepmom and to be able to ride through the waves of life's challenges with more grace and ease. We've heard about what you can do to build your resilience through self-care and just building up a foundation of inner strength and confidence. We've talked about how you can work to master your self-confidence, to have less doubt in yourself, and how to feel empowered no matter what, and the things that you can control and that you can do on a regular, daily, moment, hourly basis. So if it's been helpful in any way, I'd love to hear what specifically resonated. So please go ahead and write in the chat box what's been helpful. If you have any questions about what I just talked about, please feel free to type them in the chat box. We'll just take a couple minutes in case anybody does have questions. And I'm going to dive into this amazing opportunity that I have for all of you who are action-oriented, who are ready to get down to it and make progress and solve problems and minimize your suffering as you navigate through these crazy blended family challenges. You really deserve to feel good about yourself in this process. And I hope you all know that. Like, you really do deserve to feel good. You all are here, which tells me that you're working really hard to be the best you can be and to figure this out. So you really don't, like, you deserve to feel good. You don't need to suffer and struggle and be in pain, right? It's funny, a lot of stepmoms I talk to, they believe that everyone else deserves to feel good. They work so hard to make everyone else feel good, except for themselves, right? So isn't that interesting? So I want to ask you now to think about, what are you prioritizing that's not your relationships and not your family? And by not prioritizing yourself, you're actually not prioritizing your relationships because you can't be at your best, right? So the opportunity that I want to tell you guys is it's a 3-month program. It's for stepmoms who are committed to the 3 things that I mentioned at the beginning of the seminar, that are committed to a happy, healthy household, no matter where you're at right now, committed to a happy, healthy household and relationship, committed to being the best version of yourself, and committed to creating a safe, nurturing, and loving space for your stepkids. If that's you, you know for sure you're committed to those 3 things. Hit a 5 in the chat box. Let's just see if there's any questions here. Love the change my vision perspective. I think that's a great catchphrase to help me see I'm doing the things I want the kids to see me doing. Exactly. To show them how much I love them. Exactly, Courtney. I feel like just being hard and relating with people helps. I know the things that should be done in positive thought I should keep living it can drag you down and away from the right path. Totally, Angie Lynn. I know. That's why getting support and being part of a group is so helpful. Because it keeps you on track, right? Because we can so easily go into victim mentality or start giving up or start, wanting to whatever, like this isn't worth it or whatever, or we get off track from our commitment. So it is really helpful to have the accountability. So signing up for this program requires that you believe you deserve the investment of time, finances, energy, and commitment, and that you will get the most out of the program that you possibly can and use me and the group effectively. So with this program, you get 4 video conference calls a month where you talk to all the other stepmoms. You guys check in with each other. You discuss your challenges. You get ideas. I coach you. Different calls will have different opportunities for all those things. You get a private Facebook group, so it's not in the public free one. It's a private one exclusively for people who have paid to be a part of the 3-month program. And so you get to know each other, like there's more connection. Like I said, it just provides a container for 3 months where you get accountability to stick to your goals. Everyone's made goals in the group so far. We've had one call. The second one is Friday. So this is a perfect time to join. You get replays of all the calls. So even if you can't make it live, you will still get to listen and get, you know, just to be reminded of what you're up to and what's helpful. Just like in this webinar, you got some reminders. And even if you've been on this path for a while, you've got, you know, it's helpful to just be reminded of like what you're up to, like to your vision. I know Courtney's done so much work. I've worked with her in the past. And so again, she heard something new today, right? Like to focus on her vision, and it reminded her. So thank you for being here, Courtney. And so I'm going to there's a discount code for you all. Normally this program is $99 a month for 3 months. Okay. So that's $300 total. So today I'm selling it for $222 for the entire thing. So that's a huge discount. Like, I can't believe I'm even doing that because it's kind of ridiculous. I should not be selling this program. It's so much value for that low. Don't tell my business coach because she would like flip her crap. But I really wanted to make it accessible to everyone, and I really wanted to support you guys to make changes. So the code is in the chat box right now. So you can go ahead and click there if you're ready to sign up. And I wanted to say too that just saying yes is going to invite you to step into a newer version. Like, so you're saying yes to what you're committed to in a bigger way because you're putting, you know, money on the line and you're deciding to commit to this for the next 3 months. So this is a great way to start out 2019. You know, it's October, November, December. So last 3 months of 2018. And my goal and my intention and purpose of the group is for everyone to set their goals at the beginning so that they know what results they want to get at the end of 3 months. And then we're all going to work together. Like, I'm going to work with you to make sure that you get those results at the end of the 3 months. So if it's yelling less or being more at peace or connecting with your stepkids, right now we're talking about self-care. So that's a big focus, and how to incorporate self-care into your life, how to continue to do the things that make you you, even with everything that's going on. That's also such a foundation for building resilience. So that's our topic right now. The month is a self-care month, and next month we'll be talking about relationship challenges, communication basics. You guys get exercises in between each call. Some of them you'll do on your own. Some of them you'll do with your significant other so that you can get more on the same page with your significant other. Oftentimes there's false expectations, not just from the stepmom, but also from the husbands. They expect the stepmom to be a certain way. They expect a blended family to be a certain way, and then it's not, and they're disappointed. So some of these exercises are intended to help you both understand your expectations, help you both get on the same page with what your role is, so that you can get super clear about what are and are not your responsibilities. And the clarity builds the confidence and helps you, you know, have a place to connect with. And the relationship skills that you learn, I often say the step couple is the foundation of the blended family. So if you don't have a healthy step couple and you guys aren't practicing healthy relationship skills, it's going to be detrimental to everyone involved, right? So I really believe that we grow in community. It's so powerful to have a community of women that are like, that have your back, that are encouraging you, supporting you, cheering you on, holding you accountable. And I've also noticed, you guys, that, oh my God, this has been like insanely true, that, and chat, if you've seen this too, that when you work on yourself and you start to empower yourself, like other people start to change in your household too. So I'm more peaceful and more relaxed, and my significant other is now so much more relaxed, right? Like, he's actually doing the work to be more relaxed, to be more, without me even saying anything. I didn't even have to say, hey dude, like, you need to chill out a little bit. I just created the change within myself, and then it ripples out into the entire household, right? So another great example of that just really shows to me that this is true is I created this rule for myself. Charlene, yeah, right? It's so true. It really does work. People say like, oh, but my husband's the one that needs to change. Oh, but the stepkids are the ones that need. But like, if you do the internal work yourself, like, your outer circumstances will reflect that. And it's insane how it works. If I wake up in the morning and I'm grumpy, my son wakes me up almost every morning at like 6 or 6:30, which I'm not happy about. And I'm still trying to find a solution for. If anyone has solutions for how to get him to stop waking me up at 6 o'clock in the morning, way before I'm ready to wake up, no matter what time I go to bed, Tell me, please. But I'm talking fast because I know we only have we have 8 more minutes. So if I wake up in the morning and I'm grumpy and I'm not happy to be woken up, this is my old habit, was that I would get on my phone and space out. He would ask to watch TV, so I'd be like, sure, and I would just sit on my phone and scroll out, basically just check out, because I didn't really want to be awake and I was upset about being awake. But if I set the intention to be in a good mood when I wake up, I'm like, okay, you know what? He's just waking me up. What can I do about it? Nothing. I might as well just be in a good mood. I now have a rule for myself. I'm not allowed on social media or email until 8:45 in the morning. And so he doesn't ask to get on the TV right away, which that's a thing with me. I end up feeling guilty about him being on the TV too much. So it's something that I'm continually kind of working on. But he won't even ask to get to watch TV. If I wake up pleasant, not ready to just check out on my phone, he's pleasant and he wants to play or be really pleasant while I clean or whatever, right? So our family will reflect the work that we do. So there's nothing that you could really better support your entire household with than empowering yourself. And the whole purpose of this group is to empower yourself. Yeah. There's also the aspect of, I'm not going to get into that. You know what? We don't have that much longer. So does anyone have any questions about the group? I'm telling you, when your family sees you lighting up, they see you laughing, being yourself, playing, they will be uplifted and everyone will be relieved if you're well supported. If you're getting the support you need to be the best you can be, everyone else is going to be relieved and they're all going to benefit. And they might even be inspired to take on something different, to take on a challenge. When I hired a stepmom coach. My boyfriend thought I was crazy and he was kind of embarrassed. And then he ended up doing a personal growth. He was anti-therapy, anti-coach. He ended up doing a 6-month personal growth challenge because he would just wanted to rise to the occasion. You know what I mean? So we will uplift and inspire people by doing the work on ourselves that we need to do. And I don't think there's really anything more worthy of investing in than your own personal growth. I just don't, because I think life is we're meant to grow and expand and progress in life. We're not just meant to be stuck and stay where we are and not be happy. So Molly, it's starting, the first call happened last week and the replay is in the Facebook group. There's a private Facebook group. So if you join today, you'll get all the information to access the private Facebook group to get on the call on Friday. It's a video conference call, so you'll get to see everybody. We're going to be having a discussion this week. We're going to be talking even more about resiliency and emotional reactivity and how to be self-regulatory. And the other thing about it that's important to mention, which people have been confused about, is that whatever you're working on, it might not be with the topic of the week or whatever, but in the group, I will support you with whatever you're working on. And on the calls, there will be opportunity to discuss and get coaching and feedback for whatever you're working on. So the meetings, Charlene, are 8 p.m. on Tuesdays, every other Tuesday, and then every other Fridays at noon. This is Eastern Standard Time. You can pay per month, Courtney, not with the discount. To get the discount, you have to pay in full, $222. Otherwise, it's $99 a month, which you can also do it's on my website if you want the $99 a month. Yeah, Charlene, and like I said, all the calls are recorded, so you can listen to them in your own time. If you can't make it for one of the calls, you can just listen to the recording whenever you want, and then chime in the group and connect with people in the Facebook group. Facebook virtual groups are actually, I found for myself, and I've seen with the stepmoms that I've coached in groups before, that it's just as effective. People connect so strongly, even virtually. It's kind of insane how that happens, but it does, and it's really powerful. I don't know if you guys have ever been a part of a personal growth group, or a group of women that's supporting, holding you accountable. It's not a place to complain and stay stuck, right? That's not the point of the group. The point of the group is to make progress and to hold each other accountable to be the best versions of ourselves. And like I said at the beginning, to take responsibility for yourself. So if you're signed up today, you will get a replay of this webinar. And I just posted the discount code again to get it. You'll get a replay of the webinar and you'll get the discount code in an email following up with this. So the discount code is available for 24 hours after this webinar. So it's available until 12 p.m. tomorrow, noon Eastern Standard Time, tomorrow, Tuesday, the 16th, okay? So make sure you jump on it. It's amazing value, you guys. It's I see more progress made in these groups than I do with my one-on-one therapy clients, and I charge way more per hour for my one-on-one therapy clients, right? So it is an amazing opportunity. It's never gonna, I probably won't sell it for this low ever again. Because my business coach would be like, she's already ready to kill me for, and then she doesn't even know about the discount I'm offering today. She helps me with a lot of my business stuff and she wouldn't be happy, but you know what? I just really wanted to support you guys. I see how much you guys struggle, and I like, oftentimes I see you guys and I see like the steps that it would take for you to, you know, get above the water. And I really want to make it accessible for you. So I hope you'll jump on it. I would love to have you join. It's super fun and super supportive. And I think that's all I have today. So I hope it's been an honor and a joy supporting you guys today. Thank you so much for coming and for participating, and thank yourselves for showing up and taking the time for yourselves to better yourselves today. I can't wait to stay connected to you all, either in the Empowered Stepmom Success group moving forward or in the Stepmom Strong group, either way. I hope you all will get the support that you need one way or another. And I look forward to staying in touch. Talk to you all soon. Bye.